Let's cut the BS. You are here because you've been seeing this thing blow up online called remote closing, remote sales, high ticket sales, and now people are just using one skill that's been around for thousands of years, by the way, meaning that it's AI proof and recession proof to generate incomes from $10,000 all the way up to $40,000 a month, all without having to start your own business, product, or service. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about that. Boom. So it seems to me like right now in 2024, everyone is trying to become self-employed. It's like the cool thing post-COVID, whereas 10, 20 years ago, becoming an entrepreneur was really lame. It was like you got rocks thrown in your face in high school and no one talked to you. That was me, selling candies in elementary school, being kids would throw rocks at me. And so with this newfound public adoption and popularity, a lot of opportunities have popped up to make money and become self-employed, like social media marketing agencies and e-commerce and cryptocurrencies and, affiliate marketing and all this stuff. A lot of models that you've probably tried if you're anything like me. The only problem is with a lot of those opportunities is that you have to bear the responsibility and the weight of a business owner, because a business isn't something you just set up once and then it starts producing cash for you while you sleep. A business requires you to be good at a lot of things to be a success. So just in my own life, I started a social media marketing agency, and when I was running that, I was making like $40,000, $50,000 a month sometimes, but my net income from that at the end of the month was like $5, maybe $6,000. So I was making like a normal salary, but I was working like 60, 70, 80-hour weeks doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like managing the team and producing marketing and doing the finances and meeting with accountants and bookkeepers and having to do all the sales calls, all the appointment setting, managing all the client fulfillment that we were doing the client relationships, the customer service, the onboarding calls. It was like so much stress on my mind. I was like, kill me now. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Now, the biggest advantage to doing something like high ticket sales is that you really get all the benefits of being a business owner without taking on any of the responsibilities of being a business owner. You're really just partnering with pre-existing businesses that have an offer created, and you're taking off just one of those heavy loads off their plate and managing that and then getting paid accordingly. And just kind of a mindset to understand when you're getting into this from an experience standpoint, these high-ticket business owners don't look for any kind of specific, there's no sales college that these business owners look for when hiring a high-ticket closer, which means you can get hired even as a beginner. But assuming you're not trying to pull like a Frank Abagnale and you actually want to keep your job for longer than a month, then you actually have to develop your closing and appointment setting skills. What to do on these calls, what to say, how to say it, which is what we're going to cover later in this video. Before that, we really need to just lay the groundwork for remote closing. First off, what is it? What am I selling? And how exactly does it work? Remote closing involves selling high-ticket programs, usually in the ballpark between $5,000 to $30,000, over Zoom calls, which everyone got familiar with over COVID. Now, really just like a brief history on this, between 2013 to 2014, entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins, they were selling programs between like $300 to $400, and then they realized like the real way to make money in this industry is to digitize your information and sell it via courses and programs. And what they realized was as soon as they reached like a $5,000 program, people just stopped buying them unless they had a phone call with them. And so what they realized is, okay, someone like Tony Robbins would have all these sales calls every single day selling people on these $5,000 programs, and it just took way too much time for him because he's the business owner. He's got to be doing other things. He's got to be launching new programs. He's got to be creating the marketing and going to important meetings with investors, stuff like that. And so what they realized they had to do was they had to hire high-ticket closers that could take these appointments with prospects online who have already put up their hand and said, hey, Tony Robbins, I want to buy your program, but I just have a lot of questions because $5,000 is the price of my car, so book me a call with, one of your boys. And so one of the boys would show up and be like,
yo, you've got questions? I've got answers. Here are your answers.
And they'd be like, wow, that's cool. I don't have any more questions. And then he'd be like,
really? Here's the invoice.
And they'd be like, okay, you take MasterCard? And you're like,
yep.
And then you take 10% of the $5,000, $10,000 that you just sold, and you get to pocket that. And the best part is that it's not illegal. You get paid 10%. Wow! It's great. But yeah, I mean, like when you really think about it, like have you ever in your life purchased a product that was $5,000 or above without consulting with someone first? I mean, your biggest purchases in your life are really like your car and your house. And of course, one involves a car salesman and the other involves a real estate agent. And so like these types of big purchases require conversations, and the business owner don't have time for that. Okay, the business owner's like, man, this shit sucks. I don't want to be talking to these people. Let me hire someone to do that shit. And guess what, guys? There are thousands of these business owners online that are requiring help. And there's more business owners than high-ticket closers and appointment setters. There's an influx of business owners. And so really, you're just getting compensated based on the market conditions. There are not enough people. Now you might be thinking like, cool, but like, what am I actually selling? Like, what's the $5,000 to $30,000 offer that I'm actually talking about on these calls? And that is a good question. Now, before I address that, I just want to address the word selling, because unlike every other industry where you're having to hardcore sell them on why they need to buy your product, in this industry, you are selling education and transformative based offers that oftentimes people are coming to you to initiate these conversations, and you're just really answering a few questions. So it's unlike traditional sales in that you're not having to push, you actually don't cold call, you don't cold email, all the appointments and meetings come to you. So let me give you an example. Imagine a storefront with a big sign that says, save your marriage in 30 days. And you're just sitting in that store by yourself, guarding the door with the marriage counselor behind it. Now a line is going to start to form with a bunch of people who saw your sign out front, and you're just gonna let people in one by one. You simply open the conversation with, how can I help you today? And they're gonna go on and say, oh my God, I saw your sign and my husband Greg is such a simp, I've lost all attraction to him and blah, 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 blah. And you sitting in that chair with a list of problems that you know your boy marriage counselor in the back solves, you're gonna realize that their problem matches something that you solve. And then based on that, you'd be like, my boy can potentially help you out. He's helped out hundreds of others just like you, and he's saved 60% of his clients' marriages. Now, I'm not saying it'll 100% work, but I believe it's worth a shot. In like 20 to 40% of the time, the other person is just like, bet. And then boom, they slap down the $5,000 and you're like, whoa, bet. And then you take that $5,000 and you siphon 10% of it into your pocket. And then you send them on the way to talk to the marriage counselor. And now the marriage counselor's happy because he just made like $4,500. You're happy because you just made like $500 in under an hour. And then the client's happy because they just improved their chances of their marriage succeeding by like 60%. So it's a three-way circle jerk of happiness. Okay, so in that example, I used a marriage counselor, which actually exists, like relationship coaches. Now I want you to think of that relationship coach alongside thousands of others just like him who are really good at what they do. They just specialize in other areas of development. The main two areas of development are business development and personal development. So under personal development, that might be like relationship coaching, coaching that help writers get their books published, coaching that helps musicians get more popular, coaching that helps film directors, coaching that helps gardeners produce better crops, coaching that helps farmers get a better yield from their crops. It goes on forever. And then in the business development side, you're looking at sales coaching, marketing coaching, finance coaching, accounting coaching, leadership coaching. You know how they say if you can think of it, there's porn of it? Well, it's like the exact same way with this industry. Like if you can think of some kind of coach, it exists. And in fact, I think in the past like couple years, the amount of business consultants has actually surpassed the number of businesses, which is kind of freaking funny when you think about it, because once those consultants get big enough and they're managing like tons of these business clients, then they have to hire on like 2 or 3 more members of their team, and then they become a business that in turn hires new consultants to help them. So it's like some crazy Inception style like coaches helping businesses becoming businesses helping coaches. So in the last 10 years, a lot of these coaches and consultants have started shifting from selling low-end products to the higher-end products. through the use of like advertisements, which is increased competition in this space drastically, which has led to the creation of the high ticket remote closer position. Now, let's get a little more specific. What do I have to do, and what the heck are they looking for in order to pay me the big bucks? There are only two roles that are absolutely crucial in the high ticket remote closing space. It's the high ticket closer, and it's the appointment setter that sets appointments for the high ticket closer. So let's start with appointment setters. Appointment setters are in charge of filling up the high ticket closer's calendar with prospects that are potentially interested in the offer. So if we go back to our marriage counselor example, they'd be the one around the corner for anyone who can't see the sign, just trying to get people to see the big sign in the first place and get them to go wait in line. More specifically, maybe the marriage counselor office did a giveaway for a free marriage support and 1,000 people entered, but only one person won. The appointment setter would then call the other 999 people and see if they'd be interested in standing in line and talking with the closer inside. Sounds kind of simple, right? They're just like hustling on the corner, hustling on the street, calling people up. It's like, yo, you interested? Come on down. Now the closer, on the other hand, is a little bit different in that they're actually the one finalizing the sales once they've entered the shop. Now their job is a lot more leadership based, because even though someone is coming there on their own volition, they still need a little reassurance that this is truly what they want and need to save their marriage. So you watching this video, a lot of people really have trouble and feel uncomfortable pushing people outside of their boundaries, because we've been taught, and I do this in my personal relationships, I don't push people past their boundaries. If they set a boundary, I don't step over it. But when you're in a transformational based sales call environment where they are coming to you for help, you need to be the one that leads them across that line and pushes them to change. Okay, I'm not gonna, like, if my cousin is addicted to meth and he's coming to me for help, but he's not really sure if he should do it or not, I'm not gonna be like, well man, like it is what it is. Like if you wanna do it, you can, but if not, that's your choice. I'm gonna be like, no dude, like if you don't stop, you're gonna die. Okay, you need to make this change now or you're gonna die. All of the growth I've seen in my own personal life has come out of uncomfortable situations where I've had to step outside, grow, learn, and change my habits from a past version of myself. When I was running my social media marketing agency and I was completely burnt out and drained and I hated my life, I didn't know what to do. And it took a conversation with a mentor for me to move to Mexico temporarily, be alone in solitude to reevaluate what I wanted in life to get me back on track. Like, was that uncomfortable? Extremely. But was that what I needed to do? Yes. Like looking back, absolutely that's what I needed to do. And it just took someone pushing me over that line. And I thank that mentor like every day. I literally message him all the time and I'm like,
Yo dude, like that conversation changed my life. Thank you for pushing me over the edge.
And guess what, guys? When you're in this space having these calls as a remote closer, you're getting those messages from clients all the time. People are texting you weeks, months after you've signed them on an offer that are thanking you for pushing them into those uncomfortable situations. So just a little side note there. Now, the last thing here, the thing that you guys all want to know is the income potential. Let's break down the income for both roles, whether you are starting as a remote closer, maybe you have some experience having conversations with people, or you're just looking to dip your toes in this industry, maybe work part-time or possibly just you're new to this and you need some experience, then you're gonna wanna start in an appointment setter role. So let's start with the appointment setter. Let's go back to the marriage counselor example. And you're calling up those 999 people who didn't win the raffle, okay? Those 999 people were entering to win a $5,000 gift card worth of training, okay? That's like the offer price, 5,000 bucks. Let's say you get one person per hour to agree to come in and sit down. If you're working 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's 25 appointments per week or 100 appointments per month. You're only paid when your boy inside makes a sale. So how many of those 100 people that you sent him is he actually selling? It's a great question. 20% on average will be sold, which isn't even that good, but it's like the most conservative number that you can give. Each appointment he closes, you get 3 to 5% of the $5,000, which means you're making like $3,000 to $5,000 a month plus a $1,500 a month base salary that these companies will give you just for joining their team. An alternative example would be you're selling a $7,500 offer and you're setting 1.5 appointments per hour, so $200 a month. You got much better than when you first got started, very realistic. 30% of those people are closed. That's going to be 60 sales times 3% per sale. That's $13,500 plus a $1,500 base. You're making 15 grand per month in a 5-hour a day position. And I just want to emphasize, like, guys, this is an entry-level position. Like, you don't need any sales certification. I don't know personally of any other job where you don't need any certification or degree and you can make like 180K a year, personally. Now, let's talk about the closer income. So let's go, you're selling a $5,000 offer. You're being given 100 appointments per month. You're closing 20% of those. That's 20 sales. You're making a bit more as the closer, so you're making $500 per sale. Right around 10% is the norm. So you're making $10,000 for the month. Woohoo, that's awesome. Same thing, you're working 5 hours a day. Another alternative is the offer is $7,500. You're taking 200 appointments per month. You're closing out on 30% of those, so you just made 60 sales, $500 per sale, and now you're making $30,000 a month. Like, guys, like, that's how this income breaks down. Now let's talk about finding the right offer and like who you should work for. Income aside for a moment and what this company is gonna pay you, I totally respect if you're watching this and you're willing to work for like anyone to make this money for your family, your life, whatever your situation is. But I can just tell you from experience, if you go into an offer with a company that you just hate, it does not vibe with you at all, you're gonna burn out in about a year. I can promise you, you are gonna make more money, you're gonna be happier, you're gonna be more financially stable if you just start from the beginning in an offer that you fundamentally enjoy. So as I mentioned earlier, there are thousands of these coaches and consultants. There's no shortage of them, okay? Like, I would not do well selling a woman's liberal rights, LGBTQ offer or something like that. Like, that would just I'd wanna shoot myself in the goddamn head. And like, just like I said earlier, like, it's just like porn. Like, if you can imagine an offer, it exists out there. Like, it's being sold right now. I would start with the end in mind here. It's important to evaluate like your 5-year goals on this sort of thing and how this might align in those goals. So something I tell people all the time, listen, like, sales is a fantastic skill to learn. It's like the fundamental skill you need to learn. But ultimately, if you want to build wealth in your life, like serious, like millions and millions and millions of dollars, you're gonna need to start a business at some point. And so I meet a lot of people who have that business ambition in mind, right? And so what you can do is you can pick an offer in an industry for a business that you might be looking to start in the future and just learn from them, like download their systems. I know a lot of people who like real estate and real estate investing. There's tons of offers out there for people selling Airbnb arbitrage offers, and it's very, very lucrative. And so now you're gonna be working in their business, learning their industry, learning how to sell this, and in the process, you're just gonna be so much more developed in skills for when you start your own business in the future. Now, with that being said, let's say you found like a really good culture that's teaching something you like, they help people in a way that you admire, they're selling something that you wanna do yourself. Well, what's like the nitty gritty of how do I know if these guys are actually gonna be able to pay me what I want to be paid? I can match my career goals for what I'm looking to make and do in the next 5 years. Well, let's break that down. Number one is going to be total revenue of this company. So if their revenue is below like $100,000 a month, it's a no-go, okay? $500,000 a month and above is very promising. $1 million a month and above is A1 companies, and they're typically looking for like the best of the best appointment setters and closers. Number two, you want to look for is leads. So how are these guys booking appointments now, and where are their leads coming from? So if they're not running ads, or they don't have any kind of like Facebook group or YouTube channel, or like some kind of way where people are giving them their phone number, email address, and name, that means that you're gonna have to go out there and take cold calls or generate your own appointments. Or if you're a closer, you're gonna be given appointments from people that are like not the best, not the greatest. And so those types of companies, you wanna steer far away from. Number three you wanna look for is just track record. Like, how long has this company been around? How long have they been selling this offer? Guys, this is not the time in your career to be taking risks on startups. That's when you're Mark Cuban and you can invest and take the risk. We don't want that risk right now. You want to find a company that's got tons of testimonials, tons of results already, and are already seeing tons of success. Now, finally, let's just talk about experience level. So, Ethan, what experience do I need to have in order for these companies to take me seriously? I'll be real here. Like, it's kind of intimidating for these companies to be paying you these large sums of money, and you're just a guy with no real experience, and you're like,
Well, why would they trust me with this money? Why would they believe that I can do this?
and it just comes down to like one simple thing. There is no official remote closer certification. So how do they verify that you're legit? It really, really depends on how hard you're willing to work and how coachable you are. I know that sounds kind of like cheesy and out there, and not to say track record doesn't make a difference. Now, track record, like what have you sold in the past? What other companies have you worked for? Obviously, that's gonna make like a huge difference in these companies looking at your experience levels, but it doesn't make as big of a difference as you would think. Like, yeah, those $1 million a month companies and over, they're gonna take that a lot more seriously, but the companies under that, like $500,000 a month, don't look at that as hard simply because, like I said earlier, there is a surplus of these coaches and consultants, and there's a lack of appointment setters and closers. So they're looking for you, they're hunting for you. But there's still gonna be those remote closers out there that have like a swath of experience from all these different companies. And so you might be looking at those guys like, where did they get their experience when they were just getting started, right? And it's kind of like one of those paradoxical things where it's like, in order to get the job, you need experience, but in order to get experience, you need the job. So like, what do you do there? How do you break the cycle? Well, sales in general is just an industry that is interesting because like, unlike a heart surgeon where the risk of failure is literally someone dying, the risk of failure for a business owner to hire you is very, very low, okay? You gotta keep in mind, like these businesses have hundreds, if not thousands of leads coming to them on the daily. So as an appointment setter, you're training and you're learning, and if you mess up on 10, 20, 30, even like 50 leads, it's not that big of a loss to them, okay? You're not losing that much money, okay? You are paid on commission, 100% commission most of the time. So the risk for them is like nothing, because if you don't perform, you don't get paid. So there's no money investment that they are losing. If anything, their biggest concern and worry is the time investment of coaching you, teaching you the ways of their business, because these business owners, the reason they're hiring you in the first place is to save time. So if you're wasting their time, you're gonna be out of there in like a month. So the way you don't waste their time is tell them how serious you are about their company, their culture, their industry that you're gonna be selling in, and how serious you are about developing your skill set as an appointment sitter or closer, how serious you are about making the company money, and in turn, making yourself money, guys. Like, have some enthusiasm, get excited. Now, with all that being said, if you just watch everything on my YouTube channel and apply what I teach, you will never get fired. You'll be fucking fantastic at your job. Now, one thing I didn't realize about this industry when it, again, comes to experience, when I got into this, is that in the high ticket space, when they are hiring real estate agents or they're hiring car salesmen, people who have like old traditional sales skills under their belt, oftentimes that can actually work against them, and they look for people with no experience. And the reason why that is because someone like a car salesman who's been learning that style of selling for 10, 20 years, oftentimes the business owner has to unteach them a lot of bad habits, like high pressure sales tactics that they were taught there, and just like reset them to baseline foundation so that they can install these new beliefs of high ticket sales, because you're selling very, very differently. So it might sound crazy, but starting with no experience, some business owners actually look at as a benefit. So if you're interested in exploring more of the world of remote closing and appointment setting, if you click the second link in the bio, we are launching a community of remote closers on July 1st, where we are going live every week for twice a week, just breaking down the basics of remote closing, what you need to know to win, and just giving you all the tools. So again, second link down below, go click that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later.